Dear students, welcome to the online learning class for the subject Fundamentals of Agricultural Economics. Let's see about money. So money, we know that it is a medium of exchange. So we do want to exchange our product with others. For that a medium is required. No single man can produce everything, so he has to exchange. For that it acts as a medium. So there are different definitions for money, that is anything that the public readily accepts in payment for goods and services and in discharge of debts. So it is readily accepted by all the people. So anything that is widely accepted in discharge of obligation. We have different obligations. We want to purchase vegetables, we want to purchase mobile phone, we want to purchase goods and services, we want to pay a doctor, we want to pay a plumber. So we have to pay them with this medium of exchange for their services. So money is anything that is generally accepted as means of exchange. This is what we regularly use as a definition for money. So it was given by Rother. So this one is given by Robertson. So evolution of money. We know that in the barter system we exchanged commodity to commodity. So we have to give one commodity in order to get another commodity. So but this has limitations. One person cannot bring all the commodity he has made to the market. It is more vulnerable for theft and something. So what they have found an idea is they have to use this metallic money. So like gold, silver, copper, bronze. So this is easy to carry. So instead of commodity, they can easily carry this gold, silver, copper, bronze metals. So that will be exchanged for purchase of commodity. So metal to commodity. Then paper money. So paper money is what we have evolved, the currency notes. So we use this paper money to exchange for commodities. So this money is given for exchange of purchase of commodities. Then bank money came. So for businesses it is very useful, like checks, DDs. So what they will do, they will give the check signing the amount, indicating the amount and the cross checked by the person. Then it will be given in a particular bank to avail the money. So this is more safest. Then token money. So token money means they are money that is more than the value of it. They will be act as a token. So coins, our mint coins are actually worth more than the simple, but they are acting as a token for exchange of goods. So characteristics of money. So we know that its cognizability. Cognizability means its recognizability across the people. So it should be accepted widely. So example, in our India, the 10 rupee coin they are not accepting, but it was released by RBI only. So it should be unique, it should be homogeneous. So in order to get recognized by all the people, they will not accept. Then utility. So utility means it has some utility. Money has to have some utility. Portability, we can transport it from one place to another place. Then durability. Durability means the ability to come for longer period. So it should not go waste. Within 1 year it should not go teared or rusted like that. So indestructibility, it should not be destructible. Then stability, so it should be stable. and homogeneity, it should be similar. So that is the 10 rupee coin situation. Then universal acceptability, our coin also should have universal acceptability. So these are the characteristics of money. Then functions of money. So the main function is it acts as medium of exchange, and it is used as a standard measure value. So in our case it is rupees, in Europe it is euro, and in America it is dollar. Then store of value, money saved today, like 10 rupees stored in our house, can be used tomorrow for the same 10 rupees. So it is act as a store of value. Then transfer of value. So this 10 rupees in a bank will give you 10 rupees in another place. So transfer of value. So these are all the functions of money. Then money supply. So we have to see about money supply and money demand. We know that the only agency that is to supply money in India is RBI, our Reserve Bank of India. So it is the central bank of our country. Central bank means like in America, Federal Bank of America is their main bank. They will give loan to the government for development activities. Like that, our country has RBI. So RBI will lend our government for development activities. So on any day, supply of money equal to total amount of money circulated in the country. So the money can be classified into legal tender money and bank money. So legal tender money means the money released by RBI to the people. Then bank money, the money available with the bank. So all commercial banks, cooperative banks, etc. So these two money are the supplies. Then we have to know the velocity of circulation also. So velocity of circulation means how much speed the money changes from one hand to another hand. So that is called as velocity. So money supply in a year can be calculated by this formula. Money supply equal to this one, legal tender money into its velocity of circulation, and this one is bank money into velocity of circulation of bank money. So when we add this thing, we will get the money supply in for a year or a particular period. So when we know these things, we can easily calculate the money supply in our country. Then demand for money. So demand is created by our people only, those who are using money. So it is like our commodity only. Our commodity is supplied by farmers, and we consumers consume the commodities. Like that, money is supplied by RBI, and we consumers utilize the money. So money demanded by the people for a year depends on the total amount of goods purchased by people, total volume of transaction in the country. So total volume of transaction means how much transaction takes place, how much expenditure is taking place, and general price level. So price level of commodities, whether it has been increasing or decreasing, like that. So based on this, the demand will be fixed. So if the general price level, we used to call it as inflation if the general price level is higher. So we know that we can't purchase many goods with this condition. So general price level will be high, means the consumer with the normal income, let's say that he is earning 10,000 rupees regularly per month, but when the price of the goods increases, he can't afford to purchase more commodities. So what he will do, he will purchase very less quantity only. So that situation is called inflation. And if the general price level is low, that is called as deflation. So it is opposite of inflation. So this money demand is calculated by the formula P into T or T into P, whatever maybe. So transaction in the country, so how much money is transacted into general price level. So if it is inflation, the price level will be high. If it is deflation, the price level will be low. Okay. So Fisher, an economist, he has found the equilibrium. So he only gave this formula for money demand and money supply. So money demand, we know that P into T. So this is price level into total volume of transaction. So money supply, we know legal tender money and bank money and the respective velocities. So with this he found P equal to, so mv plus m dash v dash the whole divided by T. So this is the equilibrium point. So at this point the money supply and money demand will be equal. The price will be normal. So normal equilibrium price will be there. So if there is any imbalance between this demand and supply, so there will be consequences like inflation and deflation. So we will see them more in more detail in later classes. So inflation. So as we have seen that inflation means situation of rising prices of goods. So what will happen? The price of goods will generally increase but never will come down. So that situation is called inflation of goods. Like we can say that in this period we can find that this onion price, tomato price has skyrocketed to some 180 to 200 rupees. So that is called as inflation. They will never come down to 5 rupees or 10 rupees. So it will be around 20 to 30 rupees at the maximum. So increase in money. Why it happens means increase in money supply. So people will have more money. So they will spend it higher. For example, we can take IT people. So IT people are earning lakhs per month. For them it is not a matter. So they will give whatever the amount they will ask. So if they are purchasing the onion like from a local vendor, we can tell that he is selling in a cart. So push cart, he is selling onions. So he goes to that particular IT employee house. He will sell 1 kg of onion. He says the rate is 50 rupees, but the IT employee says that he will offer more than what he asked. So he will give 100 rupees per kg. So what the vendor will think, so people are having money, so we can increase the amount further. So what he will do, he will ask the same to the poor people also, 100 rupees per kg. So what will happen, due to this money supply, every people will have money in on their hand. So that will increase the cost of goods. So onion price will automatically go high. So that is called cost push inflation. So this money supply will increase the inflation. Then the second character is the demand for goods will be higher. So normally that good won't be available in the market. Then there comes the demand pull inflation. So there will be demand for goods. Automatically we know that when there is a demand, so automatically the price of the goods will go high. So that is also a reason for inflation. So inflation caused due to two situations. One is increase in money supply. So all the people will have money on their hand. Then they will give the commodity at higher price. They will purchase the commodity at higher price. And the second criteria is the demand will be high. So inflation it can be termed as too much money chasing too few commodities. So too much money chasing too few commodities. So for example, we can say that in 10 years back, when we enter a market with a bag and having 100 rupees means we can fill the bag with that 100 rupees. So we can purchase 4 to 5 vegetables and greens etc. for a week. But today when you go to a market with 100 rupees, you can only purchase 1 or 2 goods. Because let's say that we want to buy carrot and we want to buy tomato. So carrot will be priced 1 kg of carrot will be around 80 rupees. So when we want to purchase tomato, it will be around 30 rupees. So for these two goods you have to spend 110 rupees. So too much money chasing too few commodities. So this situation, because the prices will not be same as the previous year. So this year will increase, after this year will increase. So that is called inflation. So as the price increases, the consumer can't able to purchase many commodities. Okay. So the another term is deflation. So it is opposite of inflation. The situation of fall in prices of goods. It's only due to increased supply of goods. Increased supply of goods. When the supply of goods is increased, automatically the price will go down. If the market is flooded with a lot of onion, the price will go down. So that is we term it as deflation. The price will go down further. So it will not come up like that. So this is the called as deflation. Then the another term is stagflation. Stagflation means stagnated inflation. So inflation accompanied by unemployment is called as stagflation. So inflation is there, but unemployment also there. If inflation is there, means there will be employment in a country. But if the inflation is accompanied by unemployment, it is called as stagflation. Then types of inflation. So we know that as a child we can remember this creeping. Creeping means it's walking on 4 legs, then walking and running. Galloping means it's hyper. So creeping means less than 3%. So it's a slowly moving inflation. Then walking inflation means 3 to 6%. Then running means it is near 10%. Then galloping or hyperinflation means more than 16%. So for a country, the 5% inflation is necessary for its economic growth. If it is more than 5% or near this running inflation or galloping inflation means it is very dangerous to the country. So if it is less, the economic development will be less. So what this inflation percentage means, so if we are purchasing a commodity for 100 rupees per kg, 100 rupees per kg, so in the next year when we purchase it, it may be 105 rupees per kg. That is, for 100 rupees it can be an increase in 5 rupees is okay. So if it is more than 100 rupees, like 110 or 115, means it is too dangerous. The poor people can't afford it. So what will happen? The poor people will suffer due to this inflation. So in our country this inflation is more than 5% only, so the poor people will suffer. Then measurement of inflation. So how this measurement is done by is using of price indices. So there are two price indices you may come across in newspaper. One is consumer price index and another one is wholesale price index. It is nothing but consumer price. So we know that we purchase commodities. So for example, we purchase rice. So we purchase rice at 45 rupees per kg. So in the previous year, the current year price is 55 rupees per kg. The same rice is now increased to 55 rupees. Then the index, price index is current year price minus, that is 55 minus previous year price 45 divided by previous year price, that is 45. So this percentage is called as the price index. So consumer price index. Similarly the wholesale price. The wholesale price of paddy may be 30 rupees in the previous year. This year it can be 40 rupees or 35 rupees. So this difference is calculated as the wholesale price index. So far we have seen about this money and what if the money supply and money demand. What if money supply goes high or money demand goes high? So how we can measure this inflation, like that we have seen. Now we will move to banking. So we know that bank is very essential in our country. So we depend on banks for getting loans, getting money, for deposits, etc. So in this class we are going to see about this role of banks in modern economy and what are the types of banks, functions of commercial and central bank, and credit creation policies. So bank functions and role. Any bank will have one major activity, that is to accept deposits that are repayable on demand. So they will accept the deposit from the public. So if a person deposits a particular amount, when he asks for that deposit money, they have to give it back. So that is called deposits that are repayable, and uses deposits to lend money to another person. So if B is willing to start a business but doesn't have money, so A is having more surplus of money, he can store it in the bank, and that money can be used to lend B. So how they are getting money? So for him, for his deposit, they will give interest rate around, now it is 5%. So 5% per annum, so they will give. So when they lend it to B, they will give it at 13% or 12%, like that. So when they give it at a higher rate, this 8% increase in interest will be given to their employees and given to their branch expansion, like that. So this is the function of these banks. So okay, their role is to promote saving habits of people, to promote industries and other trades, etc. So our banking system in India, so there are scheduled banks and unscheduled banks. So this both comes under RBI. So in scheduled banks, there are one commercial banks and cooperative banks. So commercial banks means they will give all type of loan. For example, education loan, housing loan, car loan, even consumption loan, like for festival they will give. In cooperative banks, it is mainly for the stated purpose. If it is agriculture cooperative, they will give loan for agriculture purpose. If it is milk cooperative, they will give for milk production. So it is more specific oriented. So they will not give house loan or car loan, etc. So in cooperative banks, we know that PACS, Primary Agricultural Cooperative Society. So it is in every village. So that is responsible for supplying loans, crop loans to the farmers. So this one accounts more amount of money given to agriculture. So we know that there is one more sister branch for this RBI, that is NABARD. So for development of agriculture and rural development. So NABARD stands for National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. So this NABARD will give loan to cooperative banks, and cooperatives will give it to the farmers. Similarly, NABARD will give it to commercial banks for giving it to the farmers. For general people, RBI will give. For agriculture and rural development, NABARD will give. So NABARD is constituted for only the agriculture and rural development. Okay, this RBI will monitor all the banks in India. So it supervises all the banks, whether they are correctly giving loans, whether they are doing their duties correctly, like that. Then commercial banks. So in commercial banks, we have different sectors banks, like public sector banks and private sector banks and foreign sector banks. And one more thing is regional rural bank. So public sector means government banks. So it is owned, majority of the shares owned by government. Private sector bank means majority of the sector owned by private people. Then foreign sector bank means majority of the shares owned by foreign countries or foreign people. So public sector banks, we know that nationalized banks, there are 20 nationalized bank in our country except SBI. So SBI is government bank, but it doesn't come under the nationalized bank. So 20 banks like Indian Bank, Syndicate Bank, Andhra Bank, Punjab Nationalized Bank, everything under these public sector banks. Private sector banks, we have ICICI, HDFC and Axis Bank. These are all called as private sector banks. So this is owned by private people. So the foreign sector bank means Citibank and American Express Bank, like that are there. So that is, they are all called as foreign sector banks. Then regional rural bank. So regional rural bank is a unique one. So that is the balance between the cooperative bank and commercial bank. So cooperative banks will have less amount of money. For example, they will have maintained only 5 lakh or 10 lakh only. So commercial banks will deal with more than 10 lakh, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, like that. So this regional rural banks is intermediary between this commercial bank and cooperative banks. That means it will give to the activities that are neither covered by commercial bank nor covered by cooperative banks. For example, cottage industries, small shops, like that. For rural development they will give. So it is also comes under NABARD. Okay, these are the banking system in India. So central bank of our country is RBI. So functions of a commercial bank. So let's say that it is a Indian bank. So Indian bank, it will collect deposits from the people. It have give you savings account and current account. Savings account means you can do minimum transactions. Current account means you can do n number of transactions within the period. So it is suitable for businesses. Then term deposits and fixed deposit. Term deposit means it is long term, more than 10 years like that, and fixed deposit means it's for 1 year or 2 year like that. Then advancing loans, giving loan to all the people. General utility, giving ATM, e-banking services, etc. So SBI is a unique one, and Indian Bank and KVB are nationalized banks, and ICICI, Axis banks are private banks. Then functions of central bank. Our central bank is Reserve Bank of India. So this is the logo of Reserve Bank of India. It is situated in Mumbai. So its main activity is money supply and implication of monetary and physical policy. So monetary policy means the interest rate fixation. We know that repo rate, reverse repo rate. So these terms are common during these days. So this interest rate will be fixed by RBI. Okay, so if the interest rate is higher, what the normal people will do? They will go and put their money in the bank for getting higher interest. So what will happen? The money supply will be reduced. If they reduced the interest rate, what will happen? The people who want to invest in business will approach the bank for loan. So when they approach the bank for loan, they will get at a lower interest rate. So this one is called as credit control. Credit squeeze means they will not release the credit. Then fiscal policy means by means of taxes. How much tax should be paid, like our income tax, like that. So today we have seen about this money concepts and banking concepts, and the role and functions of the particular banks. Okay, thank you.